No vacancy in Las Vegas, Anthony. How's it feel to be back in our hometown?
Are you Dean Martin or Frank Sinatra?
Only to be. Only to be.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live.
That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality.
Was part of it.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. Of course, that's Anthony Melchiori over there. I am Glenn Hausman, and you tuned into episode number 628 over here. My, oh my, Anthony. So we're back here in Las Vegas. We're at Mandalay Bay, our home away from home. It's been difficult. I haven't been here in like weeks. It's been rough.
I was telling you last night, I think I haven't been here in like 2 or 3 months. And I was like, I was jonesing. And then I was somewhere like a couple of days ago, and it had the smell of Vegas, whatever Vegas smells like. It's not wead.
Well,
it was just that Vegas smell.
That's your Vegas. I don't know.
It was that Vegas smell. I was like, oh God, I have to get here. And then walking through the airport, I was like, all right, we're back in Vegas. So it's good to be back in Vegas. And I'll tell you, they just came off of one of their busiest weeks, and that says a lot about Vegas with the NFL draft. Apparently, it was one of the busiest weeks I've ever had.
Oh my God! And I will tell you, and maybe we can talk a little bit about that with our first guest over here, but we'll find out, or our second guest, because we've got 2 great guests coming today from MGM Resorts International. In a little bit, we're going to have Kevin Holyfield. He's the SVP of Hotel Strategy with MGM Resorts International. But let's bring on to the show right now Mr. Anil Mansukhani, VP of Loyalty Marketing over here at MGM Resorts. Anil, so great to see you, man.
Great to see you. How you doing, Glenn?
I'm doing great. Could you pull that microphone a little bit closer to you? All right, that way, Dr. Producer Suzanne won't yell at me. And by the way, happy birthday to Dr. Producer Suzanne. Congratulations.
Let's bring her on for a second.
All right, we're gonna bring her on. Happy 29th birthday, Suzanne.
Thank you. I love that age. It's a perfect one. I appreciate it.
Happy Teacher's Day.
Yes, it is Teacher Appreciation Day too. It's an amazing day. It's all about celebration about me and lots of pineapples coming into my office.
Right. And we love you. Now back in the box.
All right, goodbye. One of the things is we're very loyal to Dr. Producer Suzanne and Neil. And one of the things that I think you've always done here with the rewards program and stuff is bring everybody together, really create a platform from which everybody could not just earn rewards on how much they're spending at the tables, but in restaurants and all of that kind of stuff. And I've always found MGM Resorts to be one of those forward-thinking technology companies that really understood the data and how that really applies to people. Now, Anthony, before we, I'm sorry to hog all the time and not have Neil speak, but I remember years ago when I was here, back when we first started getting, smartphones and stuff like that, they had this great thing where they had geolocation put in for anybody else, right? And, you could opt in, and then it would be like, oh, get your, Cirque du Soleil tickets over here at a discount, or get a drink at a discount. And it really, I think, started to engage people in a meaningful way.
So, yeah, and I have a lot of questions because this is stuff that I know nothing about that I'm fascinated about. And But explain to us how you're going from, you're changing from M Life to MGM Rewards. Why, how, and that seems like a pretty big task.
And I saw a lot of buses advertising it too, by the way.
Yeah, so big change, and we're really excited about the change from M Life to MGM Rewards. So this journey started over 2 years ago, I should say, and really started with a real focus on our guests and really trying to understand what do they like about M Life, what are some of the things they'd potentially like to change about it. So we conducted a lot of focus groups and a lot of surveys to try and get at the heart of what really makes our members engaged and loyal to MGM. And so some of what we found from that research was we had a lot of our guests that would come to our properties and spend a lot of money with us, quite frankly, but they didn't always feel recognized for some of that spend. And so one of the main things that we try to do with the launch of MGM Rewards is really transition the program from what has historically been a slot program, really geared towards our slot players, and that served us very well for over 10 years.
Right.
But really to widen the tent and really to really engage and welcome and reward our non-gaming customers. And so that was probably one of the biggest changes with MGM Rewards. And so now under the new program, our members are able to earn MGM Rewards points for their non-gaming spend, for their hotel stays, for their food and beverage spend. So really a great addition to
And
the
it just
program.
makes sense because for years now, I thought it was a couple years, but I'm finding out that it's been at least 10 years that entertainment, food, and rooms are outpacing gaming revenue.
Yeah, it's really a testament to how Vegas has changed, quite frankly, right? Where it has historically been obviously a gaming town, and obviously with the changes that have happened in the city for the last 10 to 20 years, where again a bigger percentage, as you said, of our revenues come from entertainment and dining. So
yeah, and I think that is a direct correlation to what we started to see in the late 1990s when properties such as Mandalay Bay and others came online, really focusing on that corporate clientele, getting those events in here. And that kind of shifted the entire gravity of the city, where you went from essentially all revenue being based on gaming and the $1.99 shrimp cocktails to what are we at, about 40% off the gaming floor right now in overall profitability?
Yeah, it's definitely a great profitability driver for us.
Yep.
But again, it's been diversified for sure over the last several years.
So let me get this out of the way. If I say, I don't know, I like scotch or I like Pepsi, do I see an ad just because I say it and I'm near my phone? Do I see an ad all of a sudden as I'm, walking in the lobby for Pepsi somewhere?
Not quite yet. Not quite yet. I would say there's probably teams that are working on trying to deliver more, again, geo-targeted and relevant messaging. But certainly what we're trying to do is with MGM Rewards is personalize the experience more, so that when you're at home on the couch and maybe you're kind of thumbing through what's happening with MGM via email or maybe the mobile app, that we're delivering messages to you that are a lot more relevant than perhaps we have in the past. We're really trying to collect some of that preference information. Maybe you're a Golden Knights fan, maybe you're a Red Sox fan or whatever, and really trying to customize that message.
So if I'm a Golden Knights fan, or like we were talking before, Brian Newman fan, who does an amazing job here.
He does Brian Newman After Dark, the Park MGM, usually starts at 11 or 12 o'clock at night.
And he's really changed a lot in Vegas, kind of going back to old school kind of music and venue. But anyway, so if I look at his Instagram or I look at his website, would I get an ad on my phone somewhere?
So we're working on a variety of different ways to reach our customers. Paid media is definitely something that we are really locked in these days with, as the marketing landscape has changed. And we certainly do a lot of direct mail and email, but paid media is something that we really invested pretty heavily in the last few years. And so, yes, what we're trying to do is, again, knowing what your preferences are to be able to present, hey, Brian Newman's going to be at Park MGM Thursday night, that you're going to be able to click and sign up to go see that show.
Yeah.
So.
And I've been dying to see him, and he's been here for like 2 weeks, and he flew out Sunday night and I flew in Monday morning.
Well, that sounds about right. But maybe he'll be back here in a couple of weeks when I'm in town for IHG's annual.
So speaking of Brian Newman, so I don't know if you saw our MGM Rewards brand campaign, but he was sort of the lead and closing of the campaign. So we're very excited to partner with him.
Yeah, that was for all of MGM Resorts, right?
Yes, for MGM Rewards.
So
the launch of MGM.
And by the way, that commercial was shot beautifully too.
Yeah, we're trying to get him on here actually.
One
next couple
interesting
days.
thing I wanted to mention about the ad, since we were talking about it, is you may not know this, but there was at least, I think, don't quote me on the exact number, 6 or 7 of the people that were featured there were actually MGM Resorts employees. So it was great that we were able to incorporate some of our frontline staff into the ad, which is fantastic.
So what do guests look, when you talk to guests about rewards, and, if I'm sitting at a poker table having dinner with people and they talk about rewards, some people are happy with rewards. I'm not saying MGM, just in general. And some are like, well, I don't really get what I used to get. So what are people looking for? It's the one thing that everyone's kind of looking for. Is there one thing in their rewards membership that they're really looking for?
Can I answer that before you do?
No, sorry. Don't talk.
No, I just want to, I guess, I think it has to do with being recognized and getting access. What do you say?
No, those are two very important ones. Yeah, I was going to say it's hard to pick just one, because every guest has different needs and wants, and certain people, they absolutely want that recognition. They want that card. They want that gold card. They want that platinum card. So they want that recognition that goes with those tier status. And so for some people, it's about the benefits. So happy to dive into some of the new benefits that we have as part of the program. So for instance, one of the customer pain points that we uncovered in our research was a lot of our members hated paying resort fees. They thought that they were high value customers and didn't feel like they needed to.
Be quiet.
You hear that,
Glenn.
Anthony?
Be quiet, Glenn. There's a secret that we'll tell you later.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to announce, and I know this is obviously been in market for a few months now, but we're waiving resort fees for our gold and above members.
Beautiful.
That's been very well received by our members so far, and not just the resort fees, but as we get to different tiers, both gold, platinum, and noir, when you hit those levels and you earn enough tier credits to hit those levels, you'll also unlock like a dining experience so that you'll have a dining credit to celebrate your new status, which is a nice, again, recognition. You talked about it, Glenn. It's a great recognition for our members. And then as really some of our folks get to the higher end and they achieve enough tier credits to earn platinum and noir status, we're going to effectively offer them an airline travel credit so that we'll fly folks that are maybe some of our regional guests that come and visit us every week. In our regional properties, we want to have them come out to Vegas and celebrate.
And you would think that's the whole reason why you have the umbrella MGM rewards, because you get people to come into Detroit. You get people to come into National Harbor. They love it. They have a great experience. And then they come here to the megalopolis of MGM resorts, right?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the other motivations of the program was, again, to drive that cross-regional visitation and really take into account that, hey, we have some maybe lower value guests and a per trip basis, but high frequency. So we wanted to recognize their value and say, hey, you come to us 40, 50 times a year. We want to treat you, come to Vegas and have a great time, have a tier achievement dining credit. Your resort fees are waived. And so really trying to provide that incentive and recognition and access that what we offer. So,
so what level are we that we had you on the podcast? Do we get like the highest level card?
I'm on paper level.
We'll talk.
Yeah. So Anil, the good folks at Hilton did give me diamond status. Just throwing that out there. but
we'll see what we can do.
Yeah. But Anil, I think really what we're talking about is, I know we talked about access and a couple of those other things, but what we're really hoping to see hotel companies and casino resort companies achieve is that true personalization, really understanding what each individual wants and be able to do a mass customization by giving everyone individualized experiences that really connect with those people. I think that's what the industry has been missing overall when you bring in the hotel business as well. I've been providing companies with personal information about me for decades now, and they still haven't been able to understand who I am. Not saying it's an easy thing to fix, but what are you thinking about in terms of achieving that goal, which seems still not quite here yet based on technology?
So I would start with our VIP business. So our members that are hosted today, we do this very well, what you just described. We understand their preferences. Our hosts are in constant contact with our members and know what their likes and dislikes. And so like we're there. We're one of the, arguably at the top of the heap in terms of being able to deliver that really highly personalized service to our high-end VIP players. What you described is really being able to do that at scale. Which as you said, is a challenge. And so I would say we're in the early innings of that journey of really trying to help personalize the experience more so. I mean, we have just such a amazing portfolio of experiences between our sports ventures and between our entertainment offerings and of course between our culinary experiences. So what we're trying to do is capture that data, starting with our non-gaming audience that we haven't, historically known a lot about that audience. So we're trying to get to know them better, capture that preference information, and then be able to go back to them with more personalized offers, personalized experiences. We have partnerships with the Boston Red Sox, for example.
Oh, wow.
We can do, we have the opportunity to have some of our members experience batting practice at Fenway Park. I mean,
now that's what we're talking about, because that is the access that you can't get really unless you're affiliated with an organization that could do that for you. I love what you're talking about, trying to figure out the different personalities of people. I'm not a big gamer, right? I'll throw some money in a slot machine here and there. If it's 2 a.m, I'm not ready to go up to bed. It's not really my thing. I'll play craps maybe every couple of years, that sort of thing. But you all here make a lot of money on me from where I eat and the concerts I go to and all the booze that I have that goes on either side of that and during all of it. So for you to be able to like say, hey, at the Park MGM Theater, we know you're going to like Widespread Panic coming back, Why not get a room? And we already know that you love great sushi or noodle houses. Go check out one of our places there. That kind of a thing.
Exactly. So that's the exact kind of preference information that we're trying to capture and then play back to our members and really test the level of engagement and that level of personalization. So, like I said, we're in the early innings, but we're investing a lot of money to be able to really extract those insights from our members, capture them, store them, and then, like I said, play them back and see what kind of response we get from it. And we're very optimistic, right? I mean, this is what a lot of feedback is that guests want that personalized experience. Don't tell me about, if I'm not a slot customer, don't necessarily talk to me about slots. If I'm a sports bettor, then talk to me about, betting on my favorite team maybe. And that's because you've already know that favorite team. And so we've done a lot of work with our sports betting and online gaming partner, BetMGM, to try and work towards that goal of getting fan preferences and getting other sort of preference information and bringing those digital customers onto our 20 plus resort properties across the country. So a lot of work happening on the BetMGM front as well. So that's another.
I believe that announcement was just made that BetMGM scooping up another company, correct?
Yeah, MGM Resorts just announced yesterday as part of our earnings release that we're acquiring a European-based online gaming partner. So yeah, more to come. Leo Vegas was the name of it. So
okay,
that's
cool.
going to help our sports betting business as well.
Right,
for sure.
So it must be challenging going from the reward member who gambles, because you're kind of rolling the dice, no pun intended, meaning that they can potentially spend 500,000, 10,000, 20, whatever it is in gambling. If you're seeing people going to a restaurant or they're going to a concert, there's a very limited spend there. So if they're spending $50 on a ticket or whatever they're spending, there's, a smaller profit there than if somebody drops $10,000 on a table and the profit goes to the bottom line. So that must be a challenge, because you got to, you got to keep it affordable. You can't go out of business giving out all these rewards. How big of a challenge has that been from a business perspective, going from the gambling end, where sometimes there's unlimited, I hear, my friends in Vegas tell me all the time, there's, sometimes a handful of people that make the hotel profitable. So
there's like 12 guys that come over from Asia that
make Vegas profitable.
But seriously, I'm not addressing these comments specifically on MGM Resorts, but you could have a whale that could come in that could lose $1 million or win $1 million, and that makes an entirely big difference to the entire month's, revenue for a particular resort.
I had a friend point to somebody and say, "See that gentleman over there?"
Yep.
Said, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, that's our profit this month." So, listen, and I'm sure the next month he'll own half of the hotel. But my point being, from a business P&L standpoint, that must be challenging.
Yeah, I mean, certainly on an individual property basis, a whale absolutely could, influence our financial results one month to the next. But I think if you look at the totality of the company, we're an enormous company.
No, but I'm specifically talking about, since you're going from, a new program and you're really looking at the restaurants and the entertainment, the rewards you're giving, I would imagine is a challenge. How much can you give away, or how much can you discount?
Well, I mean, I think one of the things that I would add to where you're going with it is we do have a number of folks that never step onto a casino floor, but still spend a lot of money with us, right? They will stay in a suite for 3 days on a weekend, on a peak season weekend. They will get some very, very expensive bottles of wine and other cocktails, et cetera. And they can run up a pretty hefty bill, right? And so those are the kinds of customers, again, that we want to build a
people like Glenn
with.
Because I'm dropping Benjamins everywhere I go. But I'm also thinking about like some of the 20, 30 somethings that are still into like the day life clubs and stuff like that. And then they go and they go nap and then have a great meal.
Does anybody say dropping Benjamins anymore? I have to interrupt you. Does anybody say?
I was just going back to 1997.
Okay.
For a minute. Back to my rap music days when I ran that company.
Yeah. I don't think anybody in the world has said that since 1997.
Well, that's the last time I was hanging out with guys like Diddy and stuff like that. All right, so let me move on to another topic here, Anil. Rolando is saying, hey, you've got Native American resort operators now coming to Las Vegas. No big surprise that the Seminoles and their Hard Rock brand are continuing to make their way in here. Great job for them upgrading a property. Great job for MGM Resorts getting the cash out of the Mirage and being able to repurpose it in other places and develop. But is it changing how you market to players with new competition coming into the city? Because I don't know, me personally, I don't know if it really matters if one more company comes in or not. You've already got the other major fierce competitor here in town. You're already, global organization. Does it really make a difference at the end of the day? Or is it a matter of just trying to, at this point, home in on those specific people and get them to spend more money with a little bit of love you give them back?
Yeah, it's really the latter, Glenn. I mean, I think, again, just given our scale in Las Vegas, we don't necessarily spend a lot of time focused on one competitor coming into the marketplace. I think what we're focused on is, again, what we talked about earlier, which is really delivering and exceeding those guest expectations and really being able to personalize those experiences, because we know it's a winning formula for retention and loyalty, and we know that they'll come back to us because they've built that relationship. We've given them experiences they can't get elsewhere on the Strip, or quite frankly, around the country, around the world in some cases. So we feel confident in our product offering. Of course, we will see what some of the other folks are doing, and we may react or respond here and there, but our primary focus is on really trying to drive that personalized experience and trying to drive repeat visits and loyalties.
Yeah, because for example, Anil, there's that other major resort, the newest major resort that opened in town last summer. Yeah. They only have one property here in Las Vegas. You've got a lot of them, right? So for them, it's about, are you going to send people to the Catskills or Aqueduct Racetrack or Malaysia or something like that? But you here in town, you can't just give them tickets to one concert. You give them tickets to the 50 ones that are taking place on your different properties, right? So I think it opens it up for you to give people more opportunity to be loyal and spend more money with you.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, and this works both ways, right? So where I was going with it was, people may stay at the property that you're referring to, but especially people, if they're coming from overseas, they may make a longer journey out of it. They may stay with two or three, people when they're two or three brands when they're in Vegas. So I think overall it's good for the city. It's good for the industry, that the growth and the competition, right? It kind of ups the game and really forces us to, pay attention to make sure that our offerings are relevant and they're meaningful to the customers that we're trying to attract. So I think it's a good thing.
Well, I'll tell you, because I stay at different properties for different reasons. Sorry, Anthony. I'm here at Mandalay Bay because we're going to be attending Choice Hotels annual conference. Last week, you all hosted the Hospitality Design Expo. But at MGM, I went to a Best Western conference, but I also went there for 4 Fish concerts in October. When I stay on other parts of the Strip, I'm staying there for different reasons as well. So I'm finding that each resort reflects a different purpose and personality that I'm interested in inhabiting while I'm in Las Vegas.
Yeah. So, and to that point, I mean, to the point I made earlier, right, is we know people stay at multiple properties. We'd love for those, the same people to stay at our properties, right? So, the fact that we have an ecosystem of, 10 properties in Vegas and another 10 plus across the regional part of the United States, we absolutely feel like that network is a differentiator for us versus some of the other folks that just have one property here or there. Yep. So
I never understand people who say, well, do you stay on the Strip? Where do you stay? And like, how far is it? It's like, it's Vegas.
Right.
Get a hotel room or a hotel that you enjoy. I mean, in 3 minutes, you'll be everywhere you want to be. But you know what, Glenn, everybody wants to know something.
Oh boy.
You know what everybody wants to know? They want to know how you become the guru of loyalty. What's your background? Like, what did you go to school for? How did you get into this? Again, I always tell hospitality students that hospitality is fantastic. Who would have thought when you were 14 years old that you'd be the guru of loyalty?
Well, to be fair, before Anil answers, when he was a kid, other people were like, I want to be a doctor. I want to be an astronaut. He was like, I want to be a VP of loyalty. So, he's living his dream. But Anil, how really did you, did you find your path here?
Living the dream. Took quite a circuitous path to get to loyalty. I was actually a finance major in college.
Shocking. Shocking.
Absolutely knew I wanted to get into finance, and knew I was all into the stock market and that sort of thing. Spent the first 10 plus years of my career in finance and strategy and analytics. Worked in the financial services industry. We're supporting the loyalty program for Discover Card in a number of different ways. So building out new products and new loyalty schemes. Had a lot of experience there, and then sort of took a little bit of a different path from financial services and sort of moved into technology for about 5 years, working in San Diego for Qualcomm and Sony Electronics.
Cool.
And then for the better part of the last 10 years, actually pivoted again from an industry perspective, but functionally have kind of changed my focus from finance to marketing and product management and business development and a number of other analytics areas. But pivoted to the travel and hospitality sector. So I spent about 8 years in the cruise industry, working for 3 brands within the Carnival Corporation portfolio. So again, managed our casino marketing business there for a period of time, managed the loyalty program, and then recently had this great opportunity to join MGM, and was very excited about what's happening not only in the sports betting part of our business, but just the unbelievable experiences. We're really diving into sports even more aggressively, obviously, with a number of teams that have come into town and rumors of teams that are coming to town. So
baseball, baby.
It could happen. So we're definitely again very we have the Bank of Hope event coming up at the end of this month at Shadow Creek, which is again one of these things that no other casino operator can offer access to Shadow Creek other than MGM. Right? This is like one of the nicest courses in the world, right? And so just amazing experiences, and being able to offer those to our members is just been.
So your background's really kind of, it's almost like manicured to be like right where you are. It's like if I had said, okay, this is where you're going to wind up at this point in your life. These are the things you need. Go do that. Like it's perfect. It's like your resume is absolutely perfect. And I would imagine, it was a challenging position to get in, but your background is just magically perfect for it.
I can't say I had that plan in mind, that master plan in mind 20 plus years ago, but no, I've ended up in a great place. So it's
Norman Lear says, put your dreams out there and the world will conspire for your success. Right?
Yeah, that is so true. All right, Anil, we gotta get moving on to our next guest. We do. Anthony, do you have any more questions for Neil before we let him? Final words.
Yeah. What do you do when you're not loyal?
When I'm not loyal, I try to be loyal all the time, but spend a lot of time with the family and going on hikes and travel. Love to travel. We've had the benefit again working in the cruise industry for almost 8 years. Got to visit 30 plus countries, 40 countries. So we really enjoy that, and looking forward to our next trip.
That's fantastic.
Wow, awesome, Anil. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
We appreciate you.
And we're getting diamond status. What are we getting?
Noir status, I think, is what we got to shoot for. I may not be a gambling whale, but if I keep eating at these delicious restaurants, at least I'll look there.
And thank you for not telling him that I was one of the first people to have a resort fee at one of my hotels, and I started this whole thing in Orlando.
Yeah.
So I'm glad he doesn't know that.
I know. So he doesn't know that either. And for those of you who don't realize it, Anthony and I have been duking it out over the last few years because I am not a fan of resorts fees. It feels to me as a customer that I'm being nickeled and dimed. Just charge me.
And I'm not a fan of hotels going out of business. So we had to get creative, and it saved our business.
I know. So that's why Anthony and I are going to do a celebrity boxing match. I think, right? So
I would never box that Long Island Jewish anger. I can't handle.
Thank you, Anil.
It was a pleasure.
All right, so we're going to be bringing in Kevin right now. He's going to come in.
Watch how seamless this is.
This is incredibly seamless. All right, welcome to the show, Mr. Kevin Holyfield, SVP Hotel Strategy.
Look, he's here. Look.
Thanks so much.
Woo, I'm giving you the applause with our sound box, but you don't have. Could you just move the mic a little bit so we can see your beautiful face over there?
Move it to the side.
The microphone, not you.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, there we go. All right. So your SVP Hotel Strategy, that's a pretty freaking cool job, Kevin. So you're like
very important person.
Yeah. So you're
SVP.
like really overseeing absolutely everything in terms of creating a cohesive experience for everyone, I would think. How would you describe your job?
Yeah, so there's a lot of complexity in it, Glenn. So starting off, 3 main verticals to my role. I have parking, transportation as one, hotel operations as 2, and then the third is wellness, which includes our spa, recreation, and pool. And then, so in addition to that,
Yep.
I also play a big part in our global development. So working on our properties that we're developing internationally as well. So there's a lot in there. Now that said, as the title indicates, my responsibility is mainly around strategy.
Mhm.
So not thinking necessarily about today, but more so thinking about tomorrow and beyond.
Wow.
In terms of how we're going to operate, how we think differently, and positioning ourselves better for the future. Working closely with Anil and loyalty, and making sure that we can actually deliver on the guest experiences that from a loyalty membership aspect that we promised our guests.
But I have a really important question. How do you have this really big responsibility? You've obviously been in the business a long time. You've obviously done a lot of things, and you look like you're 24. How is that possible?
well, thanks. Anthony, I love what I do.
Also, Las Vegas is an easy living city. You know?
That's true. One of my old mentors, a gentleman by the name of Ivan Go, who's an icon in the hotel industry. Ivan once told me, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
Yep.
And I believe that. I think that's so true. I truly love what I do. I found hospitality when I was young, and realized I actually started with Princess Cruises, was my first hospitality role, very similar to Anil in the cruise industry. And then decided that I loved hospitality, but didn't want to be on cruise ships forever, and figured I'd pack my bags, move to Vegas, and hotels was the next best thing.
Yeah. And that's great. And be passionate. That's great. Right. You're passionate, and that's wonderful. But I know something that a lot of people don't know.
Oh boy.
This is a very tough industry, and it's very stressful. And especially if you're working for a corporation that, is as big as it is, and there's a lot of shareholders involved, there's a lot of stress of what you do. So how do you maintain that composure? And I think that that's the biggest thing that we're finding today in young managers coming up is composure, is being able to have patience, being able to handle the stress without looking over their shoulder saying, hey, but that guy's got this and this girl's got that, and I want this and I want that. So the composure part of it is something we don't really talk about. How is it mentors? Is it the culture in the business? Is it just something you grew up with to be able to compartmentalize and just kind of stay on track?
Yeah, I'd say all of the above. When I was with both cruises, and then I worked for Four Seasons Hotels after Princess Cruises, I had the opportunity of traveling the world. And I think understanding the world holistically when it comes to cultures, when it comes to differences among each and every one of us, is really important for how composure is maintained, because it gives us the opportunity of seeing things from a different perspective, thinking a different way, and truly understanding how different people react in different situations to different things at different times. And that has led me to be a lot more flexible in how I think. When you're dealing with different cultures, trying to open hotels and plan, you truly have to think beyond what is in front of you and think further into the future, into strategy, into next steps, into how someone's going to react culturally versus just from a topical response.
Interesting.
So it's really digging into, I think, the psyches of individuals and truly understanding people for who they are and what they contribute to the world, not just what's the situation that's in front of us right now today.
And from a career, I know we're going off a little bit here, but I think this is really important for a lot of people in the industry that are struggling a little bit. To me, it seems Vegas is a little bit more like the military. Like in New York City, like everybody's on their own. Like everybody's just struggling to just get the next gig. No one's kind of really mentoring from a big corporation. It's just much different in New York City than it is here. In Vegas, it seems like the band sticks together, right? Like you have a mentor, you have a rabbi, whatever you want to call it. And if they go somewhere, they take you, or they still continue to give you advice. And when you guys all get together, whether you're working for MGM or a different company, you guys seem like a family. And how big a part of that and success in your career has that been?
It's a great question. And thinking back to my days when I was with Four Seasons, we still had that. Being based out of Toronto and traveling, we still had that. There was a cultural connection, a cultural tissue that was thread between each and every employee in the organization. I think the same with MGM Resorts. Obviously, being a very large organization, mainly focused around Las Vegas, but we have global presence. it really is the cultural aspects that kind of lead us to that. In New York, you have a lot of independent hotels that are more one-off, so you don't have that cultural presence throughout each and every single property because there might only be one property. That said, I do think mentors, having your I call it the tribe, having your tribe that sits around you is really important. People to bounce ideas off of, bounce perspectives off of, and people who can give you sound advice, whether it's a personal topic or whether it's a professional topic, someone that you trust implicitly with providing sound feedback is really important, no matter where you are, no matter what country, whether it's in the United States or otherwise, and no matter what role you're in. As I'm giving advice to young up and comers in the industry, one of my key things that I always say is there's no one more interested in your career and your development than you.
Right.
And so you have to take the opportunities that exist, and that might mean moving to a different location. That might mean packing your bags and traveling. That might mean doing something that is out of your norm. And it's the idea of being comfortable, being uncomfortable.
Right. But not for the immediate gain, for the long-term gain as well. I mean, there's immediate gain and, oh, that seems like really, really cool. But sometimes you have to take something that may not seem as cool because you have an objective. And what I'm finding is a lot of people don't want to take those in the trenches kind of like, gigs that they don't think are maybe in their best interest. But long term, I think, especially in this industry, loyalty is rewarded eventually. It really is.
It truly is. And you're given the opportunity of creating a name for yourself, of creating additional perspectives and values from others that can contribute to your success.
But let's back up. I just want to, and Glenn, if you can jump in here too, because like Glenn has a name in our industry, right? Everybody knows Glenn. You call Glenn and Glenn's going to just destroy in a good way whatever he does, whether it be moderating, keynote, whatever it is. So he's
I
built
like where this conversation is going.
he's built his brand, and it's a strong brand. And I'm glad you said that. It's like you're building your brand. Yeah, you work for MGM. Yeah, you work for Four Seasons. Who cares? But your brand is more important than anybody you've ever worked for. And people get lost in that. Right. Is that people depend on your trust and loyalty, and that's what they're hiring. It's great that you had Four Seasons and MGM and Cruise Line, and that's fantastic. But maybe you wouldn't have had as many great companies, and you'd still have a great career because the way you show up, the way you're loyal. And I think that that's kind of getting lost a little bit right now.
100% agree, Anthony. Anytime I'm mentoring, I always ask, my first question is, what is your brand? What's your personal brand?
Cool.
And I think that's so important. When I was, I think it was 15 or 16 years old, working with, I guess it was 16, working with Princess Cruises, I took a cruise with my family, and my goal at that time was to be a cruise ship captain.
Yeah.
So I said, if I'm going to be a cruise ship captain, I need to go and talk to the cruise ship captain and make sure that's what I really want to do. So I set on my path on that cruise, and I went and I met with the cruise ship captain, and I interviewed him at the time. And I realized that maybe this isn't really what I wanted to do. So I met with another cruise ship captain on another cruise, and I confirmed the fact that that's not what I wanted to do. So then I was left with the question, what is it that I want to do? What do I want to be when I grow up?
Right.
And again, this is a number of years ago.
I think a lot of us still ask that question even as we get older.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's okay, because it will change. It will evolve based on what you do, based on your experiences. And so whenever I'm giving career advice, I don't worry about what the next step is. I always ask the question, when you're hanging up your keys from retirement, what type of role? It doesn't have to be a title, but what type of role are you retiring from? And that will seed the foundation for paths. Everyone's path to get to their long-term career goal, whatever that might be, if they have one, will change. It's going to vary by person. It might be meandering. It might be a straight line, but it's important to have that understanding. What value is your brand bringing to the industry as a whole? What is it that a company is paying you for?
And my brand is really kind of helped me in my career. If it wasn't for the brand, I wouldn't have had the career I had, because, I penciled this all out when I was 16, that this is exactly how I was going to go. Right. And it was just that, and I think if I had to say what my brand is, it's, I get stuff done. You tell me to do something, I'm going to do it. And if you tell me I can't do it, I'm going to do it. And I think that is invaluable, because at the end of the day, when you're running your portfolio, whatever it is, whether it's loyalty, whether it's operations, whether it's a show, a podcast, whatever it is, it's like, we got a lot going on over here. So whoever your boss is, they got a lot going on. Can you just handle that? And I think people forget that. It's like, they love you and they want you to be successful, but more importantly, they just want you to keep stuff off of their to-do list.
That's right.
Right?
That's exactly right. Yeah. And I mean, there's so many things going on, but those are all the opportunities that people say, well, I don't want to do that because that's someone else's busy work.
Right.
Those are the opportunities, though, that actually can help you grow and evolve, and have more experiences in things that you might not otherwise be exposed to. So it's about seizing those opportunities and doing something with them, as opposed to saying, I'm good.
That's right. That's what our friend Chris Green, who's now president over at Remington Hotels, talks about all the time. You got to get out of your comfort zone. You got to take those opportunities. And even if it feels like busy work, you're still getting inculcated into that world. You're still making those important relationships. Right. And those people that have that in positions of power will recognize it. And if you've got the right personal brand and the right attitude, then you'll be able to move forward.
Did I miss something? Is Chris the president of Remington?
No, he's president of the division of basically of all the Chesapeake hotels that went into there.
I thought I missed a PR.
Yeah. No, that's the title he came into the company with. But Anthony, you want to talk on this? Because I'd like to talk a little bit more about strategy, if you don't.
Talk about whatever you want.
So when it comes to being SVP of strategy over here, I think it's important to recognize how Las Vegas in particular seems to be very fluid, right? We went through, we're going to build giant theme resorts and we're going to focus on families. And then everyone got carried away with retail. And then it was all about conferences, then retail. Now it looks like it's all about live music and sports, right? So how are you thinking about that? And as SVP of strategy, are you thinking about not just that, but what the next big trend might be as well? But first, what are you thinking about where we are today with how we've shifted more towards people that are here much more for recreation overall versus the gambling component, and how music and sports and all of that folds into it, and your ability to continue to make MGM profitable?
Yeah, great question. So kind of going off the conversation with Anil just previously, Vegas has evolved quite substantially over the last 20 or so years, I guess 25 years. In the mid 90s, it was very much focused around families, and then kind of grew to conventions and then retail. And you started seeing these large, very high-end retail developments pop up along the Las Vegas Strip. From there, we started introducing a lot of entertainment, and Vegas kind of reshifted the focus into entertainment, primarily with concerts and boxing events, again, in the early 2000s, mid 2000s or 2010s. And then recently it shifted even more so to sports, with the Golden Knights coming to town. That was 2017. It's
been 5 years already.
It's been 5 years.
Yeah, you guys are crazy hockey people. I don't know. You go from no hockey to like, you make Ranger fans look like they don't care.
That's right. And I'm from Alaska, so it's kind of in my blood. But
that's cool.
It's absolutely amazing how Vegas has taken hold of not only hockey but sports as a whole. And what was previously a destination that was pretty much absent of most sports to now a destination that is growing substantially with sports. And so it's really the shift of entertainment, and people want other things to do in Vegas.
Right.
And that kind of goes off the conversation again with Anil and the mix shift that we've seen over the past couple decades is, Vegas was primarily a gaming destination. Now we're more of an entertainment destination.
And if I can interrupt that thought for a second, because I think what's happened is what happened in Vegas stays in Vegas. Now it's what happens in Vegas only happens in Vegas, right? Which I love. I love that phrase. And I think that has something to do with being able to attract the NFL draft. And when you bring all these young kids to Vegas, because Vegas is not what it was 20 years ago. It's not what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. It's like, you will have great experiences in Vegas, and people are more into the entertainment and more into the food and more into the, Formula One racing you have out there, or the gun ranges you have, or the beautiful, mountains, or whatever it is. And it's so much more, whereas 20 years ago, I don't know if you would be able to attract like the NFL draft here, because people would be like, you really want, all these kids in Vegas. Now Vegas has really not only cleaned up its act, so to speak, but it's really something that's, you can really, it's not the first thing you think of when you think in Vegas is not what you thought 20 years ago. Now it's like, hey, it's a fun place to be. It's like Disney World for adults.
That's right. That's right. And the other big piece of Vegas now is it's a major culinary destination.
100%.
MGM Resorts is one of the largest non-chain F&B operators in the world.
Wow.
And I mean, when you think in context, the number of restaurants that we have, it's incredible just within this one destination alone. And so there's everything for anyone here in Las Vegas that attracts. And so that's what we've seen this large mix shift and focus around consumer behavior, which also translates to differences in consumer spend, shifting from primarily gaming to primarily non-gaming as a
That's right.
large percentage.
Glenn, how many tractor trailers of food do you think that they have to deliver every day to this resort?
A lot. Listen, I've had the pleasure to see some of the back of house at some of these massive resorts, and the warehouse alone is like the size of your neighborhood Costco for each resort. It's insane.
That's right.
So I got a great question here from a friend of the show, Kyle. Diversity of products is really important. Heck, Marriott has 30 brands. What is MGM doing to give different experiences for different types of guests and not making every hotel the same type of experience? I mean, they are all very different. So how do you see creating products such as Bellagio versus Park MGM versus MGM Grand, those kinds of things?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks, Kyle. So, first of all, when you look down the Las Vegas Strip, each one of our properties is a different brand. And we have properties ranging from Excalibur, which is a value-oriented experience, all the way up to Bellagio and Aria, which are ultra luxury experiences. And then we have, even beyond that, hotels within hotels, such as the Sky Suites at Aria, such as Nomad, such as Skylofts at MGM Grand, and even private villa products, both in MGM Grand and Bellagio for the ultra high end.
Did you mention Nomad?
And Nomad, yes.
He did.
And so we do currently offer a variety of different experiences. Now, it is important to right size those experiences because someone that's staying at an Excalibur is not the same consumer as someone staying at a Bellagio, for example. And so we have to make sure that we're providing on-par experiences, both from the entertainment aspects, which translates into the entertainment both on property and access around, as well as food and beverage experiences on property and the gaming floor itself. So there's a lot of diversity in our various experiences that we have within Las Vegas as we continue to expand both domestically and globally with our brands. We are very focused on what brands go where and what they deliver. Now, when we think about brands such as our project we're working on in Japan, MGM Grand is one of our flagship brands along with Bellagio. And MGM Grand is synonymous with entertainment. It is synonymous with luxury. It is synonymous with food and beverage experiences, and of course gaming. And that's really important for that. So as we focus on diversity of experiences, we do have kind of our tier classes that we look at to make sure that like properties are aligned from a cost per occupied room as well as ADR standpoint to make sure that the guests that are staying there are getting what they expect in terms of those experiences overall.
Right. Plus, you have to make culturally relevant experiences. So an MGM product in Macau is probably going to be very different than what you're creating in Japan. That's right. So how do you think about breaking down those experiences of something that would work well in Las Vegas versus something that would work well at National Harbor or Springfield, Massachusetts, or overseas somewhere?
First of all, it's understanding who the consumer is that's going to be visiting those
so
properties.
Locals versus everyone coming here for a different type of experience to begin with, right?
Exactly. Las Vegas is a market that attracts, primarily Californians is a key feeder market, along with Arizona, et cetera. And so really understanding Las Vegas, the drive-in market, but then also understanding domestic travel and international travel layered on top, whereas a property like National Harbor in just outside of DC is primarily drive-in traffic from the local area. And so what are we really trying to deliver from an experience standpoint? And that'll inform us on how many hotel rooms do we need? How many, what type of food and beverage outlets do we need? What about our gaming space? The overall experience and service execution, because there is an expectation that's going to be set with that local demographic.
And it's so important to really get that service and that idea right, because you can travel. Like I can go from New York to MGM National Harbor in 5 hours, right? I don't need to come out to Vegas. So now I'll come to Vegas because I'm just in the mood to come to Vegas, right? But I don't have to. So really each individual hotel, each individual resort's really got to stand by itself. It's not like back in the days where, you had to go to Vegas to gamble or to have fun. You can really, like MGM, I love going to that hotel, the National Harbor. It's one of my favorite hotels.
It's a very well executed product.
Yeah, I love it. So I don't need to come out to Vegas to feel like I'm in Vegas. I still have that feeling there because it's so high end. And I just love what you do with your brand because you can go to, everyone knows I'm a freak about Nomad. You go to Nomad and that speaks to me. Now, it may not speak to Glenn or somebody else. Matter of fact, I had a friend stay there.
Nobody speaks to me. It's very
I had a friend stay there who I thought he was a little older. I thought he would love the bathtub in the room.
Right.
And he's like, what the hell is there a bathtub in the room? I said, well, you're old. Was there bathtubs in the room in the 40s and 50s? And he goes, yeah, but I don't want the bathtub in the room anymore. And so it wasn't his thing. And I thought it would be his thing. But then he went to another one of your products and he loved it. So I just love the fact that each individual hotel really, because there's a lot of brands out there and I won't name any of them. But you don't know what hotel you're in. They say they have 20 brands or 50 brands or 30 brands, but you don't know what they're in. I don't know that there's any two products alike in MGM.
There really isn't. And what we don't want to do is we don't want to create a dormitory style experience, right? We want a sense of place. We want you to know where you are, but there should be continuity in our brands, whether it's an MGM or Bellagio, as we continue building internationally and domestically. We want you to know that you're in those respective brand experiences, but they shouldn't be the same. There's got to be a sense of place.
So Glenn, can I ask a question?
No.
No?
Okay. I'm kidding. You can.
All right. Now you can't say you don't have an answer to this question. You got to give me the answer. Okay. This
Kevin,
is important. No, it's easy. It's easy. It's easier, or maybe it's not easy. I don't know. We're just coming out of everything, right? It's been a tough couple of years for everyone. Everybody's feeling it. Everybody's feeling kind of just a little overwhelmed and stressed out or whatever. What is your consumer right now, like today, versus literally right before we went into COVID? So I'm not talking 10 years ago, 5 years ago. I'm talking literally the day we went into COVID and the day we came out of COVID. What is that guest? Is it the same guest, or is that guest a little bit out of their mind, like the roaring 20s, and just wants to spend and just lose their brains? What is that customer experience like today?
That's a really great question,
Andy. I ask really great questions.
You do. I'll give it to you.
He really does.
So it's really interesting how much has changed within a short period of time. And truly, when you think about our ADRs today, our ADRs are higher than what they've been even on a 2019 comparison.
It's crazy, right?
It really is. Consumers want the experiences that they are looking for, and they're willing to pay for it. In 2019 and earlier, it was really focused around, I just want to go to Vegas. I want to do this. I want to do that. And let me get the best room. I'm not going to sleep in my room.
Right.
Now it is truly about the experience. I think people have identified the fact that they want to
see Bruno Mars and I'm going to build my trip
go to a
around
specific restaurant, and they're willing to pay for that. So of course, with inflationary costs, shipping costs, et cetera, across the board, we've had to make sure that we're right sizing our pricing, whether it's with hotels, whether it's with food and beverage experiences.
Right.
And consumers are still willing to pay. We haven't seen any sensitivity in the market on a costing basis. And so now that said, it is even more important today than what it was in 2019 and earlier that we deliver on those experiences. And that's what's really been difficult, because as everyone knows, it's a tough labor market right now. And so making sure that we're attracting employees, retaining employees, and being able to provide the training for employees so they can provide the service on a consistent and regular basis is really the difficult aspect. That's also where Anil comes in with our rebranding of MGM Resorts, a repositioning of MGM Rewards, and transitioning out of our M Life Rewards program. Really ushering in kind of the new generation, new focus on experiences.
Well, you guys do this well, better than most. But if everyone just did what you guys do and can do every day, look people in the eye. Have employees look people in the eye. Forget about training. Forget about people sending people to classes and computer workshops. Just say, hey, every single guest, look them in the eye. Because you go around hotels, whether it be in Vegas, somewhere else, and people aren't looking you in the eye. And that to me is like, a lot of people we're hearing, and Glenn hears it every day too. It's like, we're just trying to get people in the uniform and show up.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. Get them in the uniform, show up and say, hey, look that person in the eye. Right. You guys do it great here. It's great service. And I felt it even walking in. I asked someone where the elevator was. They brought me over, they looked me in the eye, they said good morning. But that to me is where we're obsessed with training and keeping people. But just look people in the eye, and your guest service scores will go. I'm not saying obviously MGM, but in general, whether it be McDonald's or whether it be a hotel brand, no one's looking anybody in the eye anymore because everybody's comfortable with their tablet.
Yeah, the basic fundamental of the hospitality industry is hospitality, and I know it sounds kind of strange to say out loud, but it truly is, and we've gotten away from the sense of hospitality largely as kind of a global community.
Mm-hmm.
And to your point, Anthony, simply just looking someone in the eye and saying good morning.
Yep.
Saying, I'm sorry, I don't have this, or please allow me to assist you, or let me walk you to the elevators. It's a fundamental core of the industry that we've got to really focus on getting back.
I had a guy give me change yesterday with my chips because I was playing a little poker, and I don't know, it was maybe $100 or whatever it was. He was so excited. He was so excited to give me chips and like to have that interaction. He's like, "Oh, thank you very much. Oh, thanks for coming." And like he was like, so, and like it made a difference.
Yep.
And like I gave him a couple dollars. Usually like if I'm changing on 100, you give him $1 or $2. I give him a little bit more than $1 or $2.
Transactional. And that's amazing to hear. And it's things like that we have to continue to celebrate in this industry, because we've gotten so far away from the core of hospitality. Yep. We've got to get back to that. So that's really great.
All right, we got a couple more questions. Daniel, I'll get to your question next, but Kyle's got a follow-up questions on this topic. What's your biggest sales pitch to why work for your company over others, and what separates the MGM culture from other companies?
Great. Another great question, Kyle.
Yep.
MGM Resorts, number one, it's a multinational company. We have presence here in Las Vegas, as well as outside of Las Vegas, and then globally. One unique thing about MGM Resorts is that our size and scale is incomparable, and therefore there's a lot of great benefits that come along with being an employee at MGM Resorts. I've been with the company now almost, 14 years now,
mm-hmm.
and coming from a company like Four Seasons, which is also an incredible company, I love MGM Resorts International. And I'm not saying that. I truly do, because of the opportunities and experiences that any employee can have. You have to, given the opportunity, you have to make sure that you're taking time to explore those experiences, from leadership development programs to training programs to continued education that MGM Resort supports. And it truly is a great organization that's focused around the employees. We spend a lot of time focusing around the service profit chain, making sure that we're delivering on employee experiences, which employees then turn around and provide those experiences back to guests. So it is a big focus of MGM Resorts. I'm not even trying to give you a sales pitch. I'm truly saying and talking more about my experience
Yep.
with MGM Resorts International. And look, when I came to the organization 14 years ago, I hadn't expected to be where I am.
Yeah.
But I took the opportunities that were presented to me. I went outside my comfort zone. I did a lot of different things that I wouldn't have otherwise had the opportunity of doing. And here we are today.
So which was the hardest job for you in your head that you decided to accept because it was so far not what you were familiar with?
Being on this podcast.
Yeah.
No, this is great, by the way. I actually think I have to think about that one for a minute.
Yeah.
Every job that I've had has been challenging in one way or another. And so there's not been one job that I can say this was.
No, but I'm thinking more from like when you were offered the opportunity,
Yeah.
which one scared you the most? Obviously you wrestled it to the ground and won because you're here today with such a great title. But
I think the one that scared me the most, and Anthony and I were talking just earlier today, when I came to MGM Resorts, I was really focused on our non-gaming global development back in 2008. So obviously, economic impacts that didn't end so well.
So it was like with MGM Resort Growth Properties or something.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're developing MGMs and Bellagio's globally non-gaming properties. in 2016, we rolled that up underneath MGM Resorts International. I moved to corporate. And then in 2017, I had the opportunity and applied to go to Park MGM leading hotel operations, Monte Carlo leading hotel operations as we transitioned from Monte Carlo to Park MGM and Nomad, which was, it scared the everything out of me, because within MGM Resorts, it was my true first operating role in a large scale gaming resort and at a leadership level.
Yeah.
So it made me uncomfortable, but that's where
Good.
I say I had to leverage all the resources around me. I had my tribe that I could bounce things off of. I know, Anthony, you visited quite a few times, especially once we got Nomad up and going. And we created a really strong team, and we created a really, really strong culture transitioning from Monte Carlo to Park MGM that's still alive and well today.
All right. So I got another strategy question for you. And then, Daniel, I promise we'll get to your question before we wrap up today's show. But you're talking about Park MGM. Atlantic City is now talking about banning smoking. So it's making me think you're having success with making Park MGM the first non-smoking gaming hotel here on the Las Vegas Strip. What is the feedback that you're getting from folks? How is that going overall? And what does it mean to the future of the organization?
Overall, guests absolutely love it. It's something that's different. And being on the Las Vegas Strip, Park MGM offers an experience that is non-smoking, not only in the guest rooms, of course, but in all public areas. And that is unique. I mean, most guests actually enjoy it. There's some
who hate smoke the worst? Smokers.
That's right.
Smokers hate.
That's right.
The smell of smoke. More smoke. Oh, I hate when I go into a casino and it smells like smoke, and they're smoking. So so I would imagine it's a win-win.
Yeah, it's interesting because when the former Revel opened Atlantic City 10-ish years ago, they went with that policy. It was a little too far ahead of where we were as a society. Now, when you debuted that last year, it seemed to be right on target.
It was the right time. It was the right opportunity to continue to build Park MGM as a non-smoking experience, and it's been wildly successful.
Great.
What that means for the future, we're going to continue to monitor and evolve, but certainly something we're keeping our eyes on.
Yeah. All right. Last question. This is coming from Daniel. Hey, how's David Copperfield change the dynamic of entertainment? Is it a strong component of revenue, or does he make profits disappear?
No,
you are amazing.
No, David's show is fantastic. If you haven't seen it,
I haven't. I love that it starts at like
go
7 or
check it out.
7:30 because I'm getting old now. I like that it's earlier.
How in God's name does somebody do it for that long? I think of him and I'm just like, how in God's name? I know he owns an island and everything. That works out, but still, he's been doing it for how long now?
I don't even know off the top of my head.
I would think that he was doing TV specials in the 80s.
But
you know,
no, but I'm saying he's been doing it here for a long time.
Yeah, he plays at MGM Grand, for those of you who don't know.
Exactly. But that shows a great entertainer, right? He continuously changes different components of his performance, and he attracts a great audience at a great property. And so David Copperfield is certainly a key aspect of the overall entertainment scene on the Las Vegas Strip that MGM Resorts has to offer. So, I mean, he does well. And again, if you haven't seen his show, go see it at MGM Grand.
Yeah. Awesome. Kevin, any final words? Because we are overtime today.
No, really appreciate the opportunity. Look forward to connecting again soon. And thanks for the opportunity.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kevin.
You
and if you could just hang out for a sec while we wrap up the show, that'd be great. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks.
Man, that was a fun one, Anthony.
Well, yeah. It was, listen, I always love coming to Vegas and I always love learning from these hospitality experts. It's amazing how much they get thrown on their plate and they handle. And also a special shout out to him because I think he introduced me to Brian Newman. And Brian Newman's a good friend of mine today. Cool. When he invited me to the first show, I was like, I don't want to go to that show. I don't even know who that guy is. And then I went to the show. I was like, oh my God, I think I'm in love with this guy.
Yeah. Get your tickets to Brian Newman, but not before I get my next show so I can still get in there. All right, everybody. Thanks for being here. Now, remember, if you're watching us on video and want to check out our audio version, go to Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Stitcher. You know the routine. And if you're listening to us right now and you're hey, why not take a look at us? We're nice people to look at. So watch us on video. Find it on Anthony's LinkedIn page, my LinkedIn page, Anthony's Facebook fan book page, No Vacancy News pages on all of the sites out there. And of course, NoVacancyNews.com. This was great, Anthony. I'm loving that we're going to
feel better now?
No. But you know what? I feel great. I feel great when we're on air and we're having great conversations with people. And to that end, the next 2 days, I'll be attending the Choice Conference and we'll be broadcasting live from there as well. So that should be a really good end of the week for Wednesday.
The
and
fun
Thursday.
never ends, Glenn.
No, the fun never ends. All right, everybody, remember, you've got one life, so blaze on and
Be kind to yourself.
see y'all tomorrow.
Are you being kind to yourself, Glenn?